Hello children, welcome back to your geography chapter 1. In the last video we did an introduction of this chapter. We went into the classification of the resources, and now we will take this chapter further. What we will start with now today is the difference between stock and resource. Now this resource has two terminologies. One we call as stock and one we call as reserve. What the meaning of stock is, those materials in the environment which have the potential to satisfy our needs but do not have the proper technology to access these materials come under generated to sufficient amount of stock. Example, water is a compound of two inflammable gases, that is hydrogen and oxygen. Right, this is what you have learnt in your science also, and we are well aware of it. These can be used as a rich source of energy, but we do not have the required technology to use them for this purpose. Now if you see latest news also, there have been lots of researches which are going on for the usage of hydrogen as a valuable or a fuel source. Lots of research is going on presently, but the technology at present is extremely expensive and is also mainly at a research stage. It is not into commercial production, the usage of hydrogen as a fuel source. So this is what we call as stock, because hydrogen we have in plenty. Water which we have, hydrogen is there in plenty. So this is a stock for us because we are not yet using it as a resource. And in contrast to that is a reserve, which can be put into use with the help of existing technology, but their use has not been started. These can be used for meeting future requirements. River water can be used for generating hydroelectricity power, but presently it is being used only to a limited extent. We can say that water in the dams, forests, etc. is a reserve which can be used in the future. Like this example says, for reserve, river water which is there can be, presently it is being used for generating hydroelectricity through dams, but there are various other technologies also which are being developed to generate electricity other than dams from river water. Just using the flow, the current of the river water, there can be movement in the turbine which can be used in turn for producing electricity. There is plenty of research which is going on, and so this can be maybe used in the future. So this is what we call as a reserve. A very fine difference between the word stock and reserve, but there is a reasonable difference over here. Okay, so going forward, we will go to the next part of this chapter, which we call as resource planning. Now you would be wondering, what is the meaning of this resource planning and what is the use of this resource planning? So basically resource planning is we have different kinds of resource. We have land resource, we have water resource, we have solar energy, we have wind energy, n number of resources in different parts of the country we have. Okay, now this resource are not evenly distributed all over the country. We have one resource in one part of the country, whereas the other part of the country might not have that particular resource. Like the example which is quoted over here, in Rajasthan, obviously it's a desert region, arid climate, and so they are poor in water resources. But what is rich over there is solar energy and wind energy. So what can be done for compensating, or what planning can be done? This solar energy and wind energy which is generated in Rajasthan can be moved to a different location. This is what we mean by resource planning. Madhya Pradesh is rich in resources. Mineral resources are extremely rich over there, whereas Ladakh is poor in these kind of mineral resources. So over here again it requires planning on the usage of resource, because India is a very vast country, and because of the different physical features of India which you have learned in last year, there are different kinds of resources located in different parts of the country. So that is the reason why we have to have resource planning, which is a very important part of resource and development. And also what happens is, if we avoid this kind of planning, there can be wastage of resources, which we definitely have to avoid. There can be environmental pollution if we do not do proper planning, and there can also be over exploitation or over usage of these resources which are there in that particular region. Okay, so this was resource planning for you. Again we will swiftly move to the next part of the lesson, that is land resource and its usage. If you see the chart which I have put up over here just now, the pie chart, it shows you the general usage of land. The first pie chart which you see is for the year 1960 to 61, and the second pie chart is for the year 2014-15. Fairly recent, 5-year differences there. Okay, 5-year in the past. Now the first pie chart, if you see, 46.26, that's the largest portion over there, is area under non-agriculture use, the light green area over there. And this same thing has come down to 45.5%. Means I am sorry. Over here, yeah, coming back to this pie chart, the largest area over here which you see in the first chart is 46.26. This is actually the net sown area, means the area where agriculture is actually happening, and this was the percentage in the year 1960-61. Now if we see the next chart, this percentage has come down to 45.5%. The net sown area has come down to 45.5% in the year 2014-15. So means the agricultural work in our India has reduced. If you see the other green part over here, which is the area under non-agricultural use, in the first pie chart it is 4.95%. The other green area, the smaller portion, 4.95, and this non-agricultural use area has increased to 8.7%, almost double it has become in the year 2014-15. Now you may be wondering, now what is the use of seeing these two pie charts? What is it going to help me with? What can I do with seeing a circle with so many different colors over here? See, the fact is, we need to understand where our country is headed. If we know the percentage of land which is being used either for agriculture or maybe for forest area or maybe for industrial usage, if we come to know the land percentage usage, then we know where our country is headed. From this chart, it is clearly visible that the amount of area which is being cultivated for agriculture is getting reduced. This might be a positive sign, this might be a negative sign. We need to see where this reduction is happening. Maybe some areas agriculture has totally stopped and some new areas agriculture has begun, or maybe some areas which were fertile earlier have become fallow. They are not being able to use right now. So that is the reason we need to understand the land usage pattern in different areas. Again, quickly moving to the next part of this lesson. I'll show you a map which shows you land degradation in India. Now degradation meaning over here, the land which is getting spoiled or the quality of the soil is getting reduced. Now the soil quality gets reduced for numerous reasons. Over here I'll show you the boxes which read out the different reasons why the soil quality is getting reduced. Exclusively water erosion, the orange patches on the map, and the red patches is barren, rocky or stony waste. Either there has been mining done over there and then waste has been thrown over there. The green region is acid soils under open forest, maybe because of some industrial waste being dumped in those areas. That is why it has become acidic in nature. Exclusively open forest is the dark green portion. The teal color portion is wind erosion, especially you will see it in the Rajasthan area. That is this wind erosion over here, and this is mainly because of the strong winds which come over there and causes dust storms over there. Then the dark red area is exclusively sodic soils or soda ash type of nature, and then the blue color, very small tiny areas, not much over here, is snow covered or glacial region which you will find in the northern part of India. So these are different reasons why land degradation is happening. Now these land degradation reasons are numerous. It many times happens because of over agriculture, too much of agriculture being done, too much of fertilizer, pesticides, all these things dumped into the soil, too much of industrialization in nearby areas, maybe the nearby water bodies are polluted because of the industrialization, All these things together contribute to the degradation of soil. If any particular region has not received rains for consecutive 3 or 4 years, always has been in drought, obviously it turns into arid soil. It loses all its fertility. It becomes difficult to grow things over there. So these are numerous reasons for the degradation, and obviously when we see a degradation in the land, we are going to see the wastage of a resource for us, right? So up till now we did the difference between stock and reserves. Then we learned the importance of resource planning. Then we saw two pie charts which showed us how land is particularly used, how it was used earlier and how it is being used presently. Then we saw the degradation of soil. Okay, coming to the next part in this lesson, we will try and understand the different kinds of soils that we have in India. Yes, we have already learned this last year itself. There are different kinds of soils, and these different kinds of soils help us in planting different kinds of crops. It helps us in our agriculture. You will see the northern part, we have forest and mountainous type of soil, mainly because of the Himalayan mountain range. The northern plains are covered with alluvial soil, the light green portion. Then the red portion is red and yellow soil. The central peninsular plateau region, the center region, little bit of Deccan and the Malwa plateau region, we have black soil. Then we have arid soil in Rajasthan, and also we have laterite soil in small portions of India. Mainly in the coastal plains, western coastal plain, we have laterite soil. Now that we have seen the different parts of India where different kinds of soil is there, we need to understand what is the use of all these different kinds of soils. Without that, it would be pointless, right? So this table will make it much more easier for you. Alluvial soil, it is rich in potash and lime. These are the minerals that you find in alluvial soil. It lacks in nitrogen and phosphorus. And the crops which we can grow in this alluvial soil is Rabi and Kharif crops such as wheat, rice, sugarcane, cotton and jute. You can compare this to what location you find this in, and you will find out that alluvial soil is what we have in the northern plains, correct? And in the northern plains, we have large amount of wheat and cotton growing over there. Jute also is grown over there. That is because of the alluvial soil. Next was the black soil, and again you can see what it is rich in, what it lacks in, what kind of crops we grow, and the states in which it is found. Similarly, the next is red, laterite, arid and saline type of soil. So this table, you can revisit the video once again, and you can write down or you can note down this table in your notebook. You can make a chart and keep it, so it is easy for you to understand the different parts of India where we have different kinds of soil and what the soil contains, what is it rich in, what it lacks in, and what and all crops are being grown in this particular kind of soil. Alright, now coming to the last part of this chapter, we need to understand the importance of soil conservation. Right. Soil conservation. Soil conservation is using and managing land based on capabilities of the land itself, involving the application of the best practices to result in greatest profitable production without damaging the land. So basically it means I am planning the usage of this land resource with best practices, and to see that these best practices give me the maximum greatest profitable production without damaging the land in any way, so that the land is conserved and I can use it further and further more in the coming years. See, because this resource, this land resource which we have, if you go back again to the classification of resources, this is a non-renewable resource. You need to understand this very, very clearly. Land is a non-renewable resource. Once the land loses its fertility, once the land is degraded, the soil is degraded, there is no way where we can get that quality which was there originally in that soil back. So this is a very, very important factor that we are learning, the conservation of soil. We can accomplish this conservation of soil by using land based on its capabilities. Now if we have a particular land which I can grow one cotton crop, for example, I should not be adding more different kinds of chemicals into it so that it will help me grow rice in it. That will destroy that land, and this is something which is not capable by the land naturally. So what the natural capabilities of the land are, I need to use that land only for that. Conservation of soil and moisture to avoid damaging the soil, and then use the best soil and crop management practices, correction of acidity, alkalinity and drainage, etc. So all these things I need to take care of so that I can conserve my soil resource. Without this very, very important resource of soil, we cannot have any agriculture happening properly. If there is no agriculture happening, obviously there is not going to be any food on your tables. So this is the impact that it is going to have. So with this, let us recapitulate again what and all we have done in this lesson. First and foremost, in the first video, we did the classification of the resources. Classification was also done earlier when you were in 8th standard, and again we have revisited that classification in the first video. Then we went into the next step of the stocks and reserves difference. Then we learnt about resource planning. Then we also learnt about the usage of land, how land was used earlier and what is the difference in the usage. We saw those two pie charts, right? Then we went into the degradation of the soil. What are the reasons for this degradation of soil? We saw the entire map of India and what and all parts of India have been degraded due to what and all reasons. Then we went into the types of soil. Which parts of India have which kind of soil and what is the usage of this soil? What kind of crops grow in this? What minerals are rich in that particular soil and what minerals are not available in that particular soil, which helped us classify the different kinds of soil. And lastly, we saw the need for conservation of soil. How soil conservation has to be done, why is it important, and what impact it is going to have on us. Right? So with that, we have completed this chapter of soil conservation. You will be preparing a summary for these main concept points like you have done for your early democratic politics, that is power sharing and federalism. The same way in your notebook, you will be preparing a summary for all the important points, and you will keep that. We will visit it once again once the school reopens, right? So thank you for now and have a good day.